Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ellis, and today I'm joined by Charlie from Chelsea Fan TV. It's the opposition view. It's Everton versus Chelsea, 2 p.m. on Sunday. How are you doing, Charlie?
Yeah, not bad, thanks, mate. I'm looking forward to the game on Sunday. Yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into things.
It's always a good contest, isn't it, Everton Chelsea? We've had some real battles over the years. We were just saying before the show, Everton seem to do quite well at home, but we don't tend to beat you guys on the road as well. So it's a bit similar for you guys. You don't always win at Goodison, but then you almost always beat us at Stamford Bridge. You're looking forward to this one?
Uh, Looking forward to it because I always enjoy watching Chelsea play, despite how difficult it's been in recent times. But in terms of what to expect from this Chelsea team, I can't say I'm looking forward to it, to be perfectly honest. As you touched on, our record at Goodison is not great. We've lost 4 of the last 5 there. And even like when we won on the opening day last season, it was a bit fortuitous for a penalty. And Everton actually played pretty well that day, from what I remember. So it's a tough place to go. Everton are in half decent form now, obviously beating Nottingham Forest away and then following that up with a great 3-0 win against Newcastle as well. So, coming in off back-to-back wins, look, it's going to be really tough. The crowd are up for it. There's almost that kind of siege mentality now, almost Everton against everyone else following, the 10-point deduction and the severity of it and whatnot. Yeah, it's going to be really tough. So I can't say I'm looking forward to it because it's never an enjoyable trip for us.
Well, you're playing us at a difficult time, aren't you? I think we're in such good form now. It's 8 wins out of the last 12 as well, which is a really good record. People seem to look at it from when we had the deduction, how have we dealt with it since? But it's safe to say that that was coming from before then because we were having the results before the deduction and we've carried it on since. And the main thing that's been evading us is the home form. And obviously last night against Newcastle was just incredible. That's going to really buoy us, I think, for the game on Sunday. But can we do it again? Can we step up again against another big team? We'll have to see. But you guys at the moment, it's so mixed with Chelsea. I never know what to think because, of course, you went and beat Brighton and then you had an absolute disastrous display against Man United, a team who pick up a lot of results, but don't always play well and aren't very inspiring. But you made them look a lot better than they actually were, didn't you?
Yeah, this is the problem with Chelsea right now. It's like every time you sort of get a bit of hope and think you've turned the corner and like, right, let's go on a run of games and let's try and win sort of 2, 3 or 4 on the bounce. We have games like Tottenham and Man City, 2 brilliant performances. And then you turn up and you have a game like Newcastle where you fall apart. You get a reaction against Brighton, you dig in, you get a good result playing almost an hour with 10 men with the added time, etc. And you hold on, you win that game. And then you think, right, okay, let's try and push on. We're going to Man United. We're not won there for 10 years. They're not playing good football this season. And we just don't turn up at all. Put in our worst performance of the season, put in one of the worst performances we've had in a long time. And yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people, just like, you don't know what you're going to get. Like we could honestly, we could turn up on Sunday and we could roll you over 2 or 3-0 and it'd be a comfortable victory. Or we could turn up and play similar to how we did on Wednesday and you could put 2 or 3 past us. The reality is you've got no idea what you're going to get from this team. And that's part of the reason I think why we've been struggling so much. Look, of course, you can say that the way the squad's been assembled, you're going to expect inconsistencies. I get that, it's a lot of young, inexperienced players with not much top flight experience and certainly not much Premier League experience, if any at all. There's going to be ups and downs, but the downs have been really bad. I was saying to you before we started recording, you expect maybe 2 to 3 players to not be at the top of their game sort of every week. You're not going to get everyone playing amazingly. Problem is, when we play badly, it's not 2 or 3, it's every single player on the pitch. And you're not going to pick up results doing that. So I agree with what you're saying. You just got no idea what you're going to get from us.
Has that been the story of the season then? Has that been all the way through? It's that inconsistency because you'd think Pochettino coming in, I felt like he'd have a better grip on the squad than he has. I thought he would have really pinned down his style a lot earlier. We know he is a manager who does have that specific way of playing, and I thought he could have brought it in a bit smoother than it has happened, really. And, a few games, a big club like Chelsea, if he loses a few, then suddenly you're under pressure again, aren't you? Like, what do you think of Poch, and has this just been the story of the season?
I think it's really tough for him. I'll be honest, just in terms of, like we've had everything's changed at the club from top to bottom in less than 2 years. Like virtually all the playing staff has changed, or the coaching staff has changed, or the ownership's changed. Like that's a lot of transitional change has taken place basically way too quickly. When you're looking at, I liked the recruitment we did in the summer. I was delighted with all the signings we were making, good players with a lot of potential. But I think it's fair to say now, now that a bit of time has passed and you kind of look at it, I think it's fair to say that the idea we've got is a good idea. I just think the execution has been really poor in terms of the recruitment. I think, you need to gradually phase players out, move a few on, bring a few in, gradually phase them out over a period of time. And this is not just on this ownership, this will be on the previous ownership as well for poor recruitment and not phasing players out when they should have been, which is why we had to get rid of so many in one go. But I just think, when you're doing that and you're clearing out a whole squad, bringing a whole new squad in, you're asking for problems. You need to phase them out one by one. It's almost like, we've tried to skip the queue and just get rid of everyone in one go and hope it's going to work. You see clubs, there's a reason why perhaps this has not been done before. It's because it probably doesn't work or it's unlikely to work. You've got to gradually phase players out, bring new ones in. I think we've also got a situation where we don't have enough reliable players. You've got to have reliable players in your team to be able to win games. I'd rather sacrifice a little bit of talent for a pro that's going to be reliable. And right now we haven't got that balance right. We've got way too many players with way too many players with potential who might be good and not enough players that are reliable and good to do a job right now, which is why we're in the problem we're in. Yes, the manager's responsible partly as well. In-game management's been poor, certain team selections have been poor. But I also feel that realistically, he's been dealt a really tough hand. And the way the squad's been assembled, I'm not surprised that we're not doing that well. We are where we are because ultimately that's where we deserve to be.
I think we saw a lot of it with Potter as well, didn't we? When you have that just mishmash of players that comes in, and obviously so many players at once, like you say, there's no stability there then, is there? And it'll take a while for these players all to settle in, especially a lot of them have come from other countries as well. So coming to England, having to fit in when the whole team are also trying to fit in, and the fact that they are young players too, there's no doubt that a lot of these lads have unbelievable talent as well and are going to be top players. But like you say, if you have that core that they can come into, I think players will develop better if they're in a team that's already got some sort of core that's been consistent over a few years. But some of your biggest leaders left as well. So I look at that team now and go, who are the leaders in that team? You'd think someone like Raheem Sterling, but he doesn't seem to take many games by the scruff of the neck. And of course, his position means he's not really going to be a leader as such. And you've got some very young players there, haven't you? Do you think the lack of that true leader has an impact? Because, of course, Levi Colwick captained you against Man United, didn't he? A young player who's only really just come back into the side, obviously had his loan at Brighton, did brilliantly there, but he's not necessarily an experienced Chelsea player, is he?
No, I think a lack of experience, lack of leadership is a massive problem. But I don't just mean, go and get some experienced players. You've got to have quality as well. I'm not talking about, just go and sign a load of average 28-year-olds and it sorts everything out. It absolutely doesn't. You've got to have the right quality. But I think it's absolutely a fair thing to say when you look at how the squad's been assembled. You look at our attacking players, for example, Sterling, Mudryk, Madueke, Cole Palmer, and Kunku's not kicked a ball for us yet. And whatnot. Out of sort of 5 or 6 players, there's one, maybe 2 that you would say are experienced players in Sterling and in Kunku. You cannot have 2 out of your 5 or 6 attacking midfield options that are experienced and 4 totally inexperienced players with potential. It should be the other way around. You should be bedding those 2 in. So this is what I mean about the way the squad's been assembled is not helped us. It's not an excuse. We should be doing better than we are, but it's not helpful to have that many youngsters compared to experienced players. I think we've got the balance really wrong on that. Sterling's one of those players, not experienced. Yes, way too inconsistent. The inconsistencies you get from Sterling are the inconsistencies I'd expect from the likes of your Mudryks, your Maduekes. Cole Palmer's actually done very well, to be fair to him, since he's come in, a lot better than anyone would have expected. But I think you're absolutely right. A lack of leadership, particularly in the midfield. At the back, we've got Thiago Silva, fair enough. Reece James, 24 now. He's been at the club all his career. He's becoming a more experienced player now. Been through a lot of big moments. At the back, I don't worry about too much about leadership. Midfield, there is zero leadership in there. 2 players in Enzo and Caicedo, very good players, very talented. There's no real, there's a lot of experience, a lot of know-how in there. You throw Gallagher in the mix. Lavia, when he gets fit again, a lot of ability and potential, not much experience. You go to the front line, all you've got is really Sterling in terms of experience, and obviously in Kunku when he comes back. So I think it's absolutely a fair point that we are massively lacking experience and leadership in 2/3 of the pitch.
I think coming to Goodison as well, it's a game where you do need people to stand up and be counted. And I think on Sunday, it's going to be interesting to see how this young side actually deals with that, because Goodison against Newcastle last night was completely raucous. As in, if you've not got a strong mentality, then it'll be very difficult to deal with what it's going to be like on Sunday. I imagine the fans are going to be up for it again. Everton have been in great form, and you're playing against us at a really tough time for you guys, I suppose. And coming off the back of that Man United game, you're expecting a reaction, undoubtedly, but it's not the ideal team to be playing. What do you think of Everton so far? Because obviously we had the 10-point deduction, a massive hit to the club, but we've been doing really well, and we actually look like quite a stable side now.
But I'll be honest, I think Everton have done pretty well this season so far. The most damning thing for us is without your 10-point deduction, you'd be ahead of us in the table.
We will be 10th, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be a point clear of us. So luckily, we're still clinging on to the top half of the table. But look, Everton have done well. I think Sean Dyche is doing a good job. The home form has picked up a little bit. It hasn't always been the best at Goodison. And the away form's been all right this season. Good win at Forest recently. Yeah. The Newcastle win was massive the other night as well. And look, Dyche might not be the most exciting manager, the most, pleasing football on the eye, but he's gone in at Everton and, he's making a difference. And, you feel confident with him at the helm that, you're going to play some half decent stuff. You're going to be safe. Look, what I would say about the point deduction is, like, I suppose fortuitously or not, I guess it's good that it's come in this season when there are comfortably 3 worse teams than Everton. If it had been last season, I think you could have been in big trouble and we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
No,
but given the Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton, they are comfortably worse than Everton. You're already out the drop zone, like after what? Just over 2 weeks since the point deduction. So it's not going to affect you going down or anything. Yeah, I like what Everton are doing. There's some good players there. I think Branthwaite at the back is a talented boy. Him and Tarkowski have formed a good partnership. I like that midfield. There's a good mix of ability, physicality in there with Nana, Decore, and Idrissa Gueye. The front line, it's not amazing, but it causes problems. Jack Harrison, I think, has done a good job. Calvert-Lewin's hit and miss. Beto, I don't know an awful lot about him. The big money forward from Udinese in the summer. And you got McNeil, who has been doing well recently. So, yeah, look, they're a difficult team, going to be a handful from set pieces, physical presence in the midfield. They're a good side. You're a good side. I think that's how I'd look at it.
I definitely think we can give you a game, and now we have got that home win under our belt because we'd won 1 home game in the league all season before that. To go and beat a big team like Newcastle, a strong side, and comfortably too, to end up scoring 3. I think a lot of the home performances, we've actually played really well, created lots of chances and just not put the ball in the net. And then obviously,
like us.
Yeah, I suppose it is. And then last night, we put the ball in the net 3 times in 10 minutes and you come away with a 3-0 win. And suddenly we're looking at this Chelsea game going, we're actually the team in the ascendancy here. And can we take the game to Chelsea? Because, of course, you guys leak a lot of goals as well. And that's something that we need to capitalize on. But you do mention some of the players, like the attack. It is a very hard working attack. It isn't blessed with the quality that you guys have, for example, a lot of other teams have. But these players work so hard and they have that little bit of quality. So Dwight McNeil, he's got a wonderful left foot. When he's on form, when he's confident, he can really strike a ball well. And Jack Harrison, we saw it yesterday, like the way he just chases players down, we can craft chances out of individual mistakes from the opposition side. And I think that high pressure is something that if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be worried about. If your players are obviously trying to keep the ball, I'd be looking at Robert Sanchez's distribution thinking, can we just really get close to him and hopefully scare him into kicking the ball out a few times? I feel like that's how we could get some joy at Goodison. Is that a way where you could see Everton maybe scoring some goals against you guys?
Absolutely. I think the blueprint at the moment is quite clear. If you press Chelsea high at the pitch and put pressure on us, like it causes problems. The playing out from the back has not been great all season. It was absolutely atrocious against United on Wednesday night. We couldn't string 2 passes together. Ball being put out of play, given away to the opposition. If you press us high and press us when we've got the ball at the back, there's going to be issues there. We've conceded a lot of goals recently, 12, I think, in the last 4 games. We're conceding a lot of goals from set pieces as well, balls into the box, people not picking up their men. There's been 3 goals in recent games where it's just opposition have had a free header in the box. Everton, if they put balls into the box, that's going to be a problem for us. So set pieces and balls into the box, you can definitely cause us issues. I think the midfield battle is going to be key as well. No disrespect to your midfield, but, look at Enzo and Caicedo, more talented players, absolutely. But are they up for the fight? Are they prepared to work hard and get stuck in? Like your likes of your Decores and your Onanas. I don't know the answer to that question right now. Gallagher coming back will make a bit of a difference for us. His energy and his pressing, that should make sure that we don't get as overrun as we did on Wednesday night. But it's going to be a tough game. Honestly, if you can get balls into the box, make it difficult for us, press us from the front when we're on the ball at the back, then you will have some success.
Well, we are obviously strong from set pieces and from balls into the box, so that will be something I think we're looking to exploit. We've got a lot of tall players as well. Jared Brownthwaite's in there; he can win headers. Tarkovsky's usually the one we aim for. You've got him to knock it on, and then players in the box. It could be Calvert-Lewin, it could be Beto. So we have got a real threat from set pieces. So I think that's something that Dyche should be looking to target, but. In reverse to that, on your side, how do you think you're going to score past us? Because Everton have been a very organised unit, especially on the road. At home, not so much sometimes. We've still had some good defensive performances, but we often get caught out with one goal, for example, like one lapse of concentration. And we need to avoid that at Goodison because we know that a team like Chelsea, they can punish you. And when you've got a player who can cut open defences like Cole Palmer can, then we need to make sure we stop him. So what are you looking at as the opportunity to exploit Everton's weaknesses? Where do you think you can get at us?
I think, no disrespect to Ashley Young, but I think if he plays, that's an obvious area to target. He's 38 years of age now. He's a few times I've seen Everton this season against Man United, he wasn't great, sent off in the derby. I think if he plays, we can definitely look to get at him, whether it's Sterling, whether it's Mudryk, whether it's Cole Palmer up against him. I think we've got to look at isolating Ashley Young one-on-one and making things difficult for him. If he gets a booking early on or whatever against one of those players, if he plays, then he's definitely there for the taking. So I think that's an area we can focus on. Maybe the fullback areas for sure. The midfield battle is going to be absolutely key. If we get overrun in there, then it's going to be a long afternoon for us. But if we can control the midfield, Caicedo gets stuck in, Enzo dictates play like he's shown he can at times this season. Gallagher, getting in and around there with his high energy and his high pressing, winning the ball back. And I think we can have some success. But in terms of goals, I think it's going to be, for me, I think the obvious thing to do is to try and isolate your fullbacks. I mean, is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I'd say it is. I think Vitaly Mykolenko has been fantastic this season, and he's probably one that you might not get as much joy against, but it'd be interesting to see actually what Everton do at fullback, because against Newcastle, we had Ashley Young on the right wing and we had Seamus Coleman at right back because we had some injury issues. So that was very different, but normally you would see Young at right back, Mykolenko at left back, and when Young has been at fullback, he has been liable to get in that early booking, and when you get that, even a player as experienced him can go and get that second booking like he did in the derby. And that is a worry for us, especially with that raw pace that the likes of Mudryk have. I think if you're kind of breaking through down the wings, then that's where you could really trouble us. As well, the fact that you've got these creative players like Cole Palmer, like Enzo Fernandez, who can, I suppose Enzo Fernandez can dictate a game from deeper, and then Cole Palmer can just break through at that final third. And we don't have that. So that's a big thing that you guys have that we don't. So if you do get it through to the final third, I think you'll be relying on Cole Palmer to break this really tough low block that we have. But fullbacks, definitely that is somewhere you can exploit. But I'd say it's a lot more likely to be doing it on Young's side than Mykolenko's side.
Yeah. No, I think Mykolenko's. I had actually forgotten about him. He's done very well this season. He gets forward well. He scored a few goals. He's been a very decent performer. So yeah, definitely down Ashley Young's side. And then I think the quality. There's a difference in quality for sure between the two sides. I think that's a fair thing to say. If we can have some moments of quality where someone can play like an inch perfect pass and split the defense and things like that, or a ball over the top which catches the back line out, something like that, then I think we can have some success. But for me, it's going to come down to are we going to be able to get enough moments in the game where we can use that quality to good effect. That's going to be the reality. I think we create a lot of chances. So if we can create some chances, it's just, for me, it's going to be, well, are we going to stick the ball away or are we not? That's what it's going to come down to. We're also going to give up some chances as well. So this is why this game's so difficult to call, because I don't know what I'm going to get from Chelsea. So I've just got, it's a really hard one to call, but I'd say that, if we can just get our good players on the ball and they play well, then we should be able to get a positive result. But that's a lot of ifs and buts at the moment still.
I feel like that's what Chelsea is at the moment, isn't it? Just surrounded by ifs and buts, and you don't know how your team's going to perform. I feel like Everton recently, we have got that more consistent level of performance, which has been something that we haven't had for years. So we're finally starting to know what to expect from our team when they come on the pitch. So this might make this bit a little bit easier for me than you, but let's go to a prediction. Let's actually pin it down and say what score we think it's going to be. I'm going to go with I think I'll go with a 2-2 draw. If we win against Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, and Chelsea in the same week, then I'll be in complete dreamland. So I think it's going to be a chaotic game. I think it might get a bit feisty as well. And obviously, where Chelsea are, there's always goals. So I'm going to go with 2-2. What are you thinking?
To be honest, I haven't got the confidence to say they're going to win this game. I just don't. I haven't seen anything really to say that, I feel confident they're going to win this game. I think it'll end up being a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1, but I just don't think we've got enough right now. I don't think enough's going to change between Wednesday and Sunday for us to make that much of a drastic difference. I'm going to go for a 1-1, but that's more hope than expectation, really.
Really? So would you say 1-1? Would that be would you be content with that result, or would you still be disappointed if you come away from there with a point?
I'll be disappointed because, with the greatest respect, we should be winning games like this.
Absolutely.
We should be. That's the reality. But right now, the confidence is low. We're not in a great position as a club. Would I take a point? Normally be like, yeah, sure. But given the predicament we're in, a point's not really good enough. We need 3. So look, it'd be good not to lose, of course, but a point still isn't good enough. We need 3.
Yeah, you need to kickstart your season, don't you? Again, it's getting to the point now where pretty much halfway through the season, and I feel like Chelsea still haven't really got going yet. So that needs to happen sooner or later. And like we said before, you don't want to go and win and then lose again. You need to get a few and a bit of a run together, don't you? I think that's massive with young players. Confidence is huge, and that's something that these players need. But before you go, I've got one random question for you, right? We ask every single week. It's not football related. It can be football related, but we just ask a random question. I'm going to give it to you now. So you can sit down with 3 people for a meal. Can be footballers, celebrities, actors, anything. Who would it be and why?
I think just one football related one. I'd love to sit down with Jose Mourinho. So I'd have him just because of everything he's done, everything that he did at Chelsea, the legend that he is in the game. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it would be fascinating to speak to him and get some of his insight and thoughts on the game for sure. So I would go with him. I think, do you know what? It'd be very interesting. I'm a massive Formula One fan as well. I mean, I'd love to sit down and pick Lewis Hamilton's brains. Just like he seems like a fascinating individual. He's been very successful. He does a lot of good work in terms of equality and all this sort of thing within sport and life in general. I think it would be fascinating to speak to someone like him, just kind of what makes these winners tick. And I think it's very interesting to sort of find that out. And then I suppose last one, let's have a little bit of a think. I want to try and get away from it being sport related because it's a bit of a cop out that because
it can be sport related if you want.
It is very easy. It's very easy to do. I'll keep it sport related. I think Tiger Woods would complete their lineup nicely. I'm not a massive golf fan, but there's something about Tiger Woods, what I mean? Like Tiger Woods, people like Tiger Woods, Ronnie O'Sullivan, guys that, even if you're not interested in those sports, you know who they are. And, I think Woods is someone that's had a fascinating life, so much ability. He's done so much for golf and the wider world in general. So, yeah, I think those 3 would be my ones.
They're strong because they're all at the top of their game in their own sports, aren't they? Like Jose Mourinho, the person I spoke to for the Nottingham Forest game said him as well. So obviously a popular guy to talk to. Like I'd love to really see what goes on in Jose's head as well, because he's just an unbelievable character, isn't he? And then 2 great sportsmen to accompany him. So I'm sure you'd have a good night there, mate. That'd be class. But that is all for the opposition view today. Everton versus Chelsea, Sunday, 2 p.m. It's going to be a good game. Hopefully we can get Goodison rocking like it was against Newcastle, but we'll have to see. Let us know what your predictions are in the comments as well. Hopefully another Everton win and we can continue building on what we've been doing recently. But thanks very much for coming on, Charlie. It's been great having you on.
Nah, pleasure to be on, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Well, that's all for now. See you later.